CBS Sports Radio. Ike, what's the overall reaction? Set the scene for us, man.
Well, first of all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you,
Yeah,
too.
my bad. I know, I'm just jumping into business. My bad.
Ike,
Happy New
BT,
Year.
BT don't have no love for you. I got love for you. Happy holidays,
It's okay,
Ike.
man. It's a hot stove out here, so
Yeah.
to speak. Well, I tell you, first of all, I was shocked yesterday, like most of us here in this area, when that news broke around 7:15 last night. But I can't say I'm completely surprised. When you make the drastic changes that Chip Kelly has made during the time that he's been here, and when you ask for complete control of the roster and just about the organization, so to speak, you had better produce. And the team this year certainly did not live up to expectations. And, far too often they looked like they were a lifeless team out there, and there was a little moment during the season for about 3 or 4 weeks there where it was a real question and concern as to whether or not Chip Kelly had lost his locker room and the players believed in him and or had they quit on him. And so I'm pretty sure Jeffrey Lurie sitting back to counter all this. And then I think the tip of the iceberg is the last week or so when you have two teams come in here into your stadium and it's on national TV where everyone's watching and they're celebrating at the end of the day divisional crowns in your stadium, and the last one being the Washington Redskins.
That's not good.
That's not going to sit well
That's
with the owner when he's watching that in his press box, and I think that was the final straw.
Ike, we've been trying to decipher, and you just alluded to this, whether or not players quit, and it's really hard to quantify that. But one of the stories that came out was with Jason Peters the other night. What do you know about that? Did he really just ice up and say, I'm done? Or what's the truth behind the Jason Peters story?
Well, it depends on who you ask. But,
That's why we're asking you.
Well, I have to say this first and foremost. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of what actually happened. I've heard reports from both sides that he was injured and he couldn't go anymore, but I've also heard the fact that he refused to go back in there because he felt like he wasn't going to put himself in harm's way for a team that he didn't feel was worth it, for a group that he didn't feel was worth it. Either way, it's not a good look, in my opinion. It isn't the first time that Jason has either been injured and left a game and didn't go back in, or we had a few weeks ago where they wanted him to dress in case of an emergency, and it was a report that he said he wasn't dressing unless he was starting, so he didn't play that game. It's been a little back and forth with Jason Peters and his effort out there on the field, and that certainly is a clear indication that someone isn't putting it all out for the coach, and that's a problem there. And I'm sure Jeffrey Lurie took note of that as well.
Now, what do we make of the DeMarco Murray stories that he went to Jeffrey Lurie and said, I don't like my role, I don't have any faith in Chip Kelly? I mean, one, how does that play for DeMarco Murray? And then two, in your opinion, do you think that had an effect on his decision to be released?
I certainly believe Jeffrey Lurie, whatever that conversation was about, took whatever DeMarco Murray had to say and how he was feeling into account. I don't believe that sat well with certainly not Chip Kelly, but even his teammates. I don't believe that sat well with his teammates. That's just not the way things are typically done here in Philadelphia. That may be something you do in Dallas, but it's certainly not something typically done here in Philadelphia.
Couldn't help yourself.
Hey, I agree.
Ike's got to jab Dallas. Look at
I
him.
agree. I'll jab Dallas too.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. But here's the thing that I'll say about that. DeMarco Murray, again, not having firsthand knowledge, if his gripe was he's not being used properly in this offense, he's not being given the opportunity to succeed in the offense, or he can't certainly relate or connect with his head coach, and he views that as a problem. When you're investing as much money as you are into DeMarco Murray, as Jeffrey Lurie is doing with this contract, you certainly had better listen to him. I mean, you certainly had better take some of those words, and then you do your further investigation. I think this was however long the evaluation process behind the scenes that Jeffrey Lurie went through, trying to get a read on how players feel about Chip Kelly as a coach, but not only players, staff members within the organization, not necessarily assistant coaches. people that work there every day to have to interact with Chip Kelly or lack thereof. There was no interaction with the head coach. All those things, I believe, played into this. But most importantly, and Tiki, you know this, the very fact that they may finish 6-10 and miss the playoffs for the second consecutive year, that played the biggest part in it.
Yeah.
Because regardless of Chip's personality and all those other things, if he's winning football games and the Eagles win last Saturday against the Redskins and they're playing for the playoffs this week against New York, up in New York, and they happen to win that game and get in, Chip Kelly is still the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's true.
So it always boils down to your production on the field.
No doubt. Talking to Ike Reese, 7 years with the Eagles, Pro Bowl back in '04, does a lot of radio out there. Mike and Ike, 94 WIP in Philly. You know, I wanted to ask you, and we had Cataldi on a while ago, Angelo, and we asked him about this, and he painted a very interesting picture, and it kind of seems this way, but you guys deal with them on much more of a consistent basis than we ever have or will at this point, thus far, I should say. You talk about a guy like Rex Ryan, and somebody like Rex needs to learn how to dial it down, and I think maybe he's in the process of doing that, and not giving the media everything that they want, like a drug addict. I mean, these sound bites. I look at somebody like Chip, and part of it is the football stuff, but I feel like Chip needs to learn how to play the game a bit better with the media. He goes on the radio; it's 10 minutes, and that's it, no matter what. Is it a willingness or is it an ability on his part to actually connect to the city? Because it seems like he's just they didn't connect with Chip Kelly's soul, and in a city like Philly, that's a big problem.
Oh, no doubt about it. And I think that was a huge issue. And again, when you don't win, this stuff comes back to bite you in the butt. And I do believe that's an adjustment that Chip is going to have to make. I do believe he's a good football coach with the ability to have success at this level, but there are adjustments that needs to be made, and the first is his person-to-person relationships, dealing with players, dealing with media, allowing people in a little bit of a window into your soul to what type of person you are and how you feel about the game, and there has to be a little bit of back and forth there, and particularly in a city like Philadelphia. That's one of the biggest requirements that we have of players and coaches and front office members in this town is that we had better be able to connect with you, or you had better do a heck of a lot of winning if you choose to keep us at arm's length. And I think that's something that Chip Kelly did not recognize, he did not adjust to, and it didn't just have to deal with the media. And it's not about, well, he didn't give you quotes or he didn't give you what you wanted or he didn't butter up to you and all those things. It's not about that. It's about a person-to-person working relationship that you have with a fan base and a media base on a day-to-day basis, but more importantly, with your players. It's not just the media that felt this way. The players felt this way, that they didn't know the coach, that they didn't feel that he was approachable. And when you don't produce wins, that's going to come back to haunt you, because the biggest thing that I've seen with this, and I've never seen it with the coach I played for, and Andy Reid, no one came to the defense of Chip Kelly. No one stood in front of a microphone and said, hey, man, we're doing things the right way. We love playing for this guy. You guys don't understand. We know what we got in him as a head coach, and you guys are the ones who are clueless. We love playing for this guy. I didn't hear one person say that during the rough time, during the season, during this time. Now, I don't know if they'll say it now. It's too late.
Yeah.
But when you don't have players coming to bat for you, the owner also takes notice of that as well.
Yeah, the silence was deafening. Ike Reese, former Eagle, with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio.
Yeah.